In this part we will enable the ship to shoot and delete barrier parts. So in the barrier class we add a new method isSet that will return true if a certain coordinate in the barrier grid is set to 1, otherwise false. So we check if the beam is within range horizontally, and if it is, we check if the barrier grid coordinate for the beam coordinate y minus the barrier y plus 1 and index beam coordinate x minus barrier x equals 1. If it is, then we set the result to true and return the result. So we also need another method that will set a barrier grid coordinate to taken, which means setting it to 0. So this method is very simple. We just set the barrier grid indexed by beam coordinate y minus the barrier y plus 1 and indexed by beam coordinate x minus barrier coordinate x to 0. In the barriers class we need another method delete barrier part, which also takes a beam coordinate. It returns true or false and will loop over all the barriers that we have and check if the current barrier is set for the beam coordinate, and that means if it's still there, then we delete it and set it to taken and set the result to true and return the result. In the game class we add another method private void delete barrier part check, and here we need a generic list of beam base objects, beams to delete. We loop over all the beams and we check if the barriers delete barrier part returns true. Hold on a little bit here. We need another variable here, a coord entity. Beam coordinate, and here we set beam coordinate to beam.getCoordinate, and now we write if beam coordinate y is greater than 49, which is the row where the barrier starts, and less than 54, which is the final row of the barrier. If it is, if we're within range vertically, we check if the barrier delete barrier part returns true. If it does, a part was deleted and we should play a barrier explosion sound and add the beam to the beams to delete list, and then we'll loop over the beams in the beams to delete list and remove them from the ship list of beams. Or we can call ship delete beams with beams to delete right away. And then we add another method for the barrier explosion, as we've done before. In the main game loop, we just add a call to delete barrier part check, and we try it out. Okay, the beam stops, but not at the bottom position, and we can still see the beam. So we need to delete the beam and adjust the start position to another y value. So here we add in the delete barrier part check a beam unplot call, and then in the plot method in the barrier we set -1 here when we plot them. Now let's try it out.